I pay employees at my marketing agency $4 an hour, and they're extremely grateful to be working with me.
You just want to go to the front of the guillotine line?
All right, well, finally, is it outrageous that a capitalist TikToker is talking publicly about how he hires people in Pakistan to work for him remotely and pays them only $4 an hour? Take a listen to the video that he put out that has attracted some truly, truly vicious backlash.
I pay employees at my marketing agency $4 an hour, and they're extremely grateful to be working with me. Let me explain why. For administrative level stuff at my business, like formatting spreadsheets, setting up email accounts, I hire a virtual assistant from Pakistan and pay them $4 an hour. Now, the average income every month in Pakistan is $280 US. With the $4 an hour they're getting from me, they get $160 a week or $640 a month, which is almost 3 times the average income over there. A really great living for them. They live very, very well. Now, if they do really great work for me, I can raise their pay to $5, $6, even $7 an hour, which is 4, 5, 6 times the average monthly income of a typical person in Pakistan. They do really great work for me. They're really grateful to be working with me because of the money they make. They have a great income. I get a great employee, and it's a win-win. Before you leave a comment, yes, I have US-based employees. Yes, they make way more than $4 an hour. I'm just saying for this specific task, I pay a Pakistani assistant $4 an hour, and they are very appreciative of it.
So this was, it went viral on TikTok, but it also went viral on Twitter, and someone tweeted the video and said, "Capitalism is evil, I don't care." And Hannah, I picked out some of the responses to this from Twitter. Can you just read them so listeners can get a sense of how this guy's, statements were received, at least by some folks on Twitter?
Sure. So lots of blue checks in here. Sada Shan says, exploitation at its peak. And then Cool Cat said, exploiting people across the world via the internet. Another person said, evil man. And Betty Boo said that he's even comfortable filming this is sickening. Another person said, to the gallows, which, guys, is communist slang. They do want to murder you. Just a quick reminder there. And then lastly, someone said, so he has slaves.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, this is exactly what I thought I'd find on left-wing Twitter responses.
Yeah. And then the TikTok responses were similarly vicious and delusional. I'm going to insert a supercut of the responses here.
Look, it's nice that you're creating jobs. People are happy, but they'd be happy if you pay them $2 an hour. They just need money. You're exploiting the fact that you could get labor done cheap there just because the dollar goes a lot further there than it does here. You don't understand that they're actually desperate for that dollar. You'd be paying someone $15 per hour to do the same type of work here that you're paying $4 per hour in Pakistan. I don't care if a dollar here feels like $10 to them. You could afford to pay them more. You said you make $1 million per year or whatever. I saw your videos. Why then do you need to exploit someone at $4 per hour to do your dirty work?
He spends the next 50 seconds saying, I underpay my employees, without saying the words, I underpay my employees.
You just want to go to the front of the guillotine line?
So first and foremost, it's interesting to me how you can almost peg who's a communist just by how they look, like, without fail. I can almost always gauge, like, back when I was on dating apps, I could pick them out on sight, like, nope. So anyways, that's just one observation. But yeah, it's so unnuanced. They're so unoriginal in their critiques, and they never are actually that sympathetic or compassionate when you really dig into the crux of their arguments, and they don't even take the time to really flush out what they're arguing against to recognize that. It's not compassionate to be mad about this. These people are desperate for dollars, like they're saying. So what is your alternative here? That he shouldn't hire them, that he shouldn't pay them because he's not paying them what you think they should be paid? And really, like, anytime you get into these sort of overseas labor arguments, whether it be about factories or it be, how much you're paying somebody to do work in another country, you always get into this terrain. And it shows to me that, one, people have no understanding of how economies and countries as a whole industrialize and grow and become first world countries, right? You don't have a third world country that just poop overnight ends up being a first world affluent country. You have to have a progression in their economy and in their workforce for them to get to that point. And guess what? It starts with factories. It started with factories in the US too. And then it changed, and that progressed and moved away. And now it's starting to industrialize other countries. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for them, because it is industrializing their countries, and it's paying them a lot more than they could ever have made previously. It's keeping them from digging for food outside in the trash. And it means Americans are getting cheaper products. And this is why I am a globalist, which is always used as a terrible like slur. But in reality, it just means that you actually truly believe in free trade and in capitalism, and that it can lift all boats. And it truly does. And so these kinds of attitudes, it's not helping the people that you think you're helping. You're actually just arguing against them being able to get on that first ladder rung to begin moving up to hopefully they get to a point in their country where they could be paid $15 an hour to do a computer job. That's amazing. But that's not going to happen just because you wish everything felt good and could be kumbaya. It's a childish, naive idea of how things work. And also, again, how workforces industrialize and get to that place where they could create that much value. So what this man is doing is keeping his costs down. That I'm sure helps him to innovate more, invest more in his company, probably spend more at other businesses around him, which again lifts all boats, benefits those employees, benefits those other businesses, and also helps him probably pay other positions more in the US since he's being able to offset that. Like this sort of arrogance they have of like, you're a millionaire, so you can afford to pay him more. It just shows me you've never run a business, number one. You don't understand what his costs are.
Probably wouldn't exist if he had to hire someone. This is like an assistant, like making databases and doing email stuff for him. If he had to pay him,
he could use Chat GPT for that, honestly.
Pretty soon, at least. But if it is not worth it to him to pay an American $15 an hour to do that, but it is worth it to pay someone $4 an hour. No American would do it at that rate, even if that was illegal, and it is illegal. And so what we have here is a mutually beneficial, consensual trade interaction that inherently leaves both parties better off, or they wouldn't agree to it. And yet people are mad about this. Here's the thing. If that person in Pakistan could earn more than $4 doing something anywhere around them, they wouldn't choose to engage in this. They would go do that other job. If there was an $8 an hour job down the street, why on earth would they do this? They wouldn't. That means it's a better option than anything they have available to them. In fact, it sounds like it's actually quite a good option that pays way more than most people in Pakistan are earning, and way more than the Pakistani like minimum wage or whatever. And so it's probably a much above market rate there. And then for him, it's only worth it to hire someone to do these low-level assistant tasks at that kind of a wage. Like if he had to pay an American on his staff, pay the taxes, pay them $15 an hour, you know, put them on the payroll, pay the government all this money, like it wouldn't be worth it. He'd probably just do it himself or not do those tasks. Like, and so what we have here is a win-win that some people are mad about. And it's always so funny to me. It's like these woke white saviors, these minorities in other countries want to do this work at this rate. And they're like, actually, I know what's better for you. That should be illegal. And it's like, no, Susan, you don't know what's better for other people than they know for themselves. And you're not offering any alternatives. You're just looking down on a win-win situation. I want to play his response video to the critics. He's handled this really well. Take a listen to what he had to say.
If someone offered you $45 an hour to work for them, would you say no? Probably not. But when I say I pay my Pakistani employees $4 an hour, which is triple the minimum wage, everyone gets mad at me. $4 an hour in Pakistan is the equivalent of $45 an hour in the United States. Every single one of my employees is grateful to work for me. They're happy. They do great work. They live a great life over in Pakistan. If you run a business, look to pay for international employees that do the same level of work as an American hire.
So he also started posting these messages that he's been getting from around the world. I want to read you this one Twitter DM. Listen, man, I just saw your video on the $4 an hour. I live in Kenya, and if you'd offer me a job like that for $3 an hour, I can pay my school fees for the semester in 2 weeks. I'm comp literate, and I'm a self-taught coder. I'm still an amateur, but I can handle your spreadsheets and even more. Another person says, hey, I saw your TikTok where you talked about paying Pakistani workers $4 an hour. Is there any way I can work that same job? What are the skills required for that job? Another hilarious thing he posted was a message that he got from a Pakistani person on Twitter. And the screenshot says, as a Pakistani, unironically, I appreciate you doing this and giving my people employment. Heart emoji. The person said, ignore these weird low testosterone liberals. Hire more Pakistanis. They don't complain like Americans.
I love that. Based.
Based. It's like these people, it's such a better option for people around the world that they saw that and they're hitting him up like, can I get in on this? And that's what these woke socialists don't seem to understand. Like, he is literally extending a wonderful opportunity to these people, and they're looking down on it because they want to live in this mythical utopia where a person in Pakistan with no education can somehow be worth paying $15 US an hour to do spreadsheets or something. Like, it's just not reality. So why are you looking down on the best of a win-win situation that is rooted in reality?
It's exploitation, and I should be paid $15 an hour for something that could literally be automated. Like, your jobs will go away for these low-skill type opportunities, and or the pay will come down, and there will be others who will be glad to do them. And that's what they don't like about capitalism, I think, right? Is that you have to actually compete. You have to actually be bringing value. And these are the types of people who don't really want to work. They say this quite openly all over TikTok. They don't really want to create value. And they can't stand the fact that these people overseas are hungry to work, have ambition, have drive, and are happy to do this kind of task and can be paid a lot less for it and still have a great quality of life elsewhere because, again, they're living in third world economies. And so I think that's really what it comes down to, is this is a threat where they want things to go the other way, where they're more baked into their jobs and less is asked of them. And the unions are saying they only have to work 4 days, they get paid for 5. Like, this is what they keep thinking they're going to get to. But actually what's going to happen is the more you pass stupid laws like that and the more you allow unions to shake down businesses, the more they're going to go do this. They are going to outsource things. They are going to go overseas, and you deserve it for pushing for economically illiterate policies that hurt this country, that hurt our economy, that make it impossible to run a business or keep good employees. And so I think that's kind of at root here, right? Like, it's not just that they have this fantastical idea of how things work. It's that they are desperately trying to avoid the reality of the situation, and they're trying to cloth that in this concern for other people, and like they're, you know, so worried about their quality of life. Like, no, this is an amazing thing for people in these countries, and in doing that, he is actively infusing more money into their economies, which again can help them progress and grow. So he's
just exploiting them. They're basically his slaves, Hannah.
He's the good guy, you're the bad guy. It's not really that, you know, nuanced here, guys. And honestly, yeah, like, it's the anti-hero, right? Like,
yeah,
they're
and
the
also, like,
anti-heroes.
what have these people done to provide opportunity for people in second world countries?
Nothing. I'm confident of it. I can tell you right now. I've done nothing to, not only in other countries, but nothing for anybody here either. These are not people who are out creating value and pulling anybody up behind the steam in their sails. Like, that's not what's going on here. So I love this guy. I love that he's like willing to counter the bullies and come on and address this sort of thing online, because I'm sure he knew when he posted this there would be tremendous backlash, but somebody needs to, you know, counter this sort of stuff and really make these people have a come to Jesus, because I think they're so deep in their echo chambers and their algorithms that they're really not being pushed back on with this sort of crud. It's kind of interesting to me. And just a side note, but I was reading the replies to this overtly left-wing, like, crazy LGBTQ tweet. Brad, I'll send it to you for damage control because you might want to cover it. And I thought it was satire. It was so bad. And then I was reading, I'm like, oh my God, no, this is serious. And then all of the responses to it were like, yes, queen, amazing, this is great. And it's like, what? No. Anyways, but it just made me realize how much people get into their echo chambers of just responses even, right? Like, they so seldomly have somebody come in and be like, no, this is cracked. Like, what you think is absolutely insane, and only people deep in your bubble agree with you, but they're not having anybody poke a hole in that bubble. So I think that it's great that he came along and did this, and I'll definitely be following him from now on.